The Houthis reject the offer from Tel Aviv and officially announce it. Wait for our missiles at any time, and those who warn are excused. The Palestinian factions join hands with the Houthis and support the Egyptians. For the Yemeni stance and American attempts to pressure the Houthis, the United States Department of Defense establishes a defense line to protect Tel Aviv with the help of Arab countries, while Russia calls for the establishment of a Palestinian state. Netanyahu offers the Lebanese president a deal for normalization. And Mossad establishes a spy farm. Trump chooses an Emirati envoy for Iran. The Iranian supreme leader opens fire on the American president, calling him deceitful. Trump reveals Putin's stance on ending the Ukrainian war. Zelensky agrees to the truce and liberates. And its numerous red lines. Kyiv announces the continuation of general mobilization despite the truce agreement. The European Commission, Britain and France disavow support for Ukraine. The Arabs turn the tables. Make your plans dark and impenetrable as night, and when you strike, do it like a thunderbolt. That's what the Chinese philosopher Sun Tzu said. And how similar today is to yesterday. Meanwhile, Tel Aviv is preparing and awaiting the attack threatened by the Houthis. Here are the Houthis announcing a surprise in the coming hours. Here, Reital talked about the Houthi statement regarding the official announcement of the end of the deadline they gave to Tel Aviv and their resumption of targeting civilian ships. Tel Aviv's involvement in the Red Sea, the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean. This is in response to Tel Aviv's continued prevention of humanitarian aid from reaching the sector. Reuters added a new statement from Sana'a, where the Yemeni Ministry of Defense announced, through Defense Minister Major General Mohammed Al-Atifi, the armed forces are at the highest level of readiness to execute the directives of the higher leadership to support the Palestinian movement, as per his statement. Additionally, the Minister of Interior Abdul Karim Al-Houthi instructed to raise maximum security readiness and prepare for any field measures supporting the sector. In the same context, the spokesperson for the Sana'a forces announced the resumption of the ban on Hebrew ships in the Red Sea and the Arabian Sea, affirming its continuation until the crossings are opened and urgent aid is delivered to the sector. In the same context, Palestinian factions welcomed the statement issued by the recognized Houthi movement. Considered this a bold step to pressure Tel Aviv to reopen the crossings and allow aid into the sector. The movement praised the humanitarian stance. Yemeni affirming that it reflects the authenticity of the Yemeni people and its steadfast support for the Palestinian cause and its resistance. From the kingdom of Sheba to Abi, Egypt's world. And according to the BBC, Egypt confirmed its understanding of Sanaa's decision regarding resuming its operations against Hebrew ships in the Red Sea, considering these aggressive measures towards the sector as affecting the stability of the region. Cairo emphasized the importance of a ceasefire in the sector to maintain security in the Red Sea. Meanwhile, a leader in the Yemeni movement confirmed that targeting Hebrew ships in the Red Sea aims to pressure Tel Aviv to allow aid into the region, emphasizing that the measure does not target international navigation and calling on the media to ensure accuracy. According to his statement quoted from the political bureau of the Houthi Ansar Allah movement. On the other hand, the UN envoy to Yemen revealed a meeting that brought together ambassadors of the permanent member countries of the Security Council, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. An agreement was reached to coordinate efforts to de-escalate tensions and move towards a political solution amid escalating Yemeni operations in support of the sector. Meanwhile, the United States intensified its efforts to prevent escalation in the Red Sea, where the American ambassador to Yemen coordinated a diplomatic meeting to discuss imposing international pressure on Sana'a to cease its military operations against Israeli ships. Amid the escalation of the Yemeni operation, the United States revealed regional moves to bolster Tel Aviv's defenses, including meetings with officials in Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Syria and Tel Aviv. In a notable development, the Hebrew Military Institute confirmed that the military operations against the Houthis did not succeed in pointing to the necessity of changing the strategy through continuous offensive operations targeting their leadership and military capabilities. This is according to the Hebrew Channel 12. From the flames of the Yemeni front to the news of the displacement plan, it seems that Trump has retreated from the plan to displace the Palestinians. Where US President Donald Trump confirmed during his meeting with the Irish Prime Minister. Michael Martin at the White House stated that he would not expel the Palestinians from the sector, emphasizing that no one is seeking to do so. As the Egyptian proverb says, I hear your words, I believe, I see your actions, I wonder. In a similar context, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov affirmed that the establishment of a Palestinian state should be in accordance with the United Nations General Assembly Resolution of 1948. And the president based on the borders of the year 1967. Lavrov also clarified that resolving the Palestinian issue cannot be achieved without establishing a Palestinian state and ensuring the security of students, indicating that the decision from 1948 stipulated the establishment of two states as a mutual condition for each other's existence. Taking us to the most recent developments on the Palestinian scene, the Hebrew channel Khan reported that Tel Aviv uses small-sized drones, some equipped with cameras and others with listening devices which are placed in bags and dropped in open areas, like cemeteries and residential neighborhoods inside the sector. In another context, the foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, Jordan and Egypt held a meeting in Doha with the American envoy Steve Witkoff, where they discussed ways to finance Arab reconstruction plans for the sector that were approved at the Arab Summit in Cairo, along with consultation and coordination regarding efforts to stabilize the ceasefire in this sector. On the other hand, the Chief of Staff of the Hebrew Army stated that the war is still ongoing, highlighting its difficulties and complexities and affirming the continuation of military operations to achieve victory and recover the hostages, considering that any cessation in fighting leads to new attacks by Palestinian factions. And from the situation in the sector to the fiery Lebanese Hebrew front, where Channel 12 reported, citing a political source, that the negotiations with Lebanon on border demarcation are part of a comprehensive plan, as both parties have demands that will be discussed. And the source added that the policy of the Hebrew Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has brought about transformations in the Middle East, and Tel Aviv seeks to maintain this momentum with the aim of reaching a normalization agreement with Lebanon. In a related context, the newspaper Yedioth Ahronoth reported from a diplomatic source that these negotiations represent a part from a border perspective. Tel Aviv seeks to achieve it. The announcement of these talks has caused concern among settlers in the border areas. And from Beirut to the burning Iranian-American front, where the spokesperson for the Iranian Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced, the Iranian Ismail Baghai stated that Anwar Gargash, the diplomatic advisor to the President of the Emirates, carries a message from American President Donald Trump to the Iranian leadership. Baghai clarified in a statement to the agency that Gargash will meet with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi to deliver the American message. In the same context, the Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei attacked American President Donald Trump, describing his call for negotiations as deceitful, asserting that dialogue with Washington will not lift the sanctions but will make them more complicated. He emphasized that Iran does not seek war but will respond firmly to any American mistake, emphasizing that his country has become stronger than last year despite the pressures. He also pointed out that the loss of prominent leaders does not affect the path of resistance as long as there is a goal and continuous effort, according to his statement. And now let's move on to the behind the scenes of Russia's war against Ukraine and the West.
Putin announces the end of the war.